First, days after the car crash in Rajasthan in which her Mercedes collided with an Alto and killed a 2-year-old girl, Hema Malini took to Twitter today and blamed the child's father. She accused Harsh Khandelwal of breaking the traffic rules. The distraught father, who's still in hospital, said that he had not broken any rules. Hema Malini's driver, in fact, was the one who was arrested after the accident and has been charged with overspeeding, reckless driving, among other things.
After her Mercedes crashed into an Alto on the night of 3rd July, in an accident where a 2-year-old girl lost her life, actress and politician Hema Malini has turned to Twitter to defend herself. But it sparked outrage and disbelief. On Twitter, Tushar Gandhi said, Hema Malini blames father of girl killed in accident with her vehicle. Of course, how dared he be on the road while Her Majesty was using it. Devinder Sharma said, we can't blame Hema Malini. People who carried her to the hospital and left the child behind believe in VVIP racism. The injured family is in shock.
ये कहना तो बहुत आसान है उनके लिए कि मैंने ट्रैफिक रूल्स का पालन नहीं करा, उनकी स्पीड 150 प्लस थी, वो कर रही थी ट्रैफिक रूल्स का पालन, मैंने कौन से ट्रैफिक रूल्स का पालन नहीं करा, ये बाद में इंडिकेटर नहीं दिया या सीट बेल्ट नहीं लगा रखा, ये मेरी स्पीड तेज थी.
As per the police's version, this is what happened that fateful night. On National Highway 11 between Agra and Jaipur at a place called Dausa, where there is a turning for Lal Sot, two cars were making a right turn through a cut in the divider on the highway. The first car crossed safely. It's when this second white Alto with a family of 5 driven by Harsh Khandelwal or Hanuman was turning right and was halfway across the road that a speeding Mercedes with number plate HR26 AW5556 came from the opposite side and crashed into the Alto. The impact of the collision was such that the Mercedes climbed onto a divider. The 2-year-old child seated inside the Alto with her family was thrown out of the car by the impact of the collision. She was declared brought dead to the hospital. Other members of her family have been severely injured.
मौके पे मिले अलामात के अनुसार प्रथम दृष्टया हमने मर्सिडीज के ड्राइवर को ही तेज गति या लापरवाही से चलाने का दोषी पाया गया है और जैसा कि आप बता रहे हैं हमने तो अभी देखा नहीं है मगर कि हेमा मालिनी जी का कहना है कि हमारे ड्राइवर की गलती नहीं थी.
The family that was travelling in the Alto that collided with Hema Malini's Mercedes have been undergoing treatment at this hospital in Jaipur. But so far, nobody has approached them with any offers of assistance or even inquired about their health. Hema Malini's defence on Twitter has been that she herself was in trauma. But the real shocker has been her allegation that the little girl's father who was driving the car was responsible for her death. And her tweets have given an entirely new and bitter dimension to this tragic controversy. In Jaipur with cameraman Dinesh Pradhan, Harsha Kumari Singh for NDTV.
Well, was this a completely callous and heartless statement given by Hema Malini, given that a 2-year-old child died in this accident? Or is there a bitter truth that she's stating somewhere, if indeed she is blaming the driver of the Alto, that is the father in this case, for any traffic rule that he may have violated? Joining us on the program tonight on a story that has certainly made many headlines over the past week or so, we have Sunita Khandelwal, who is the aunt of the 2-year-old child who lost her life in that accident. Also joining us here in the studio, Sabha Naqvi, the political editor of Outlook. Ruchir Joshi, writer and filmmaker, joins us tonight from Kolkata. We're joined by Sohail Seth. Also with us this evening is Krishna Sagar Rao, the spokesperson of the BJP. मेरा पहला सवाल सुनीता जी को जाता है. सुनीता जी, आप ये बताइए कि जब आपने ये सुना कि हेमा मालिनी ने क्या कहा है इस एक्सीडेंट के बारे में, आपका पहला रिएक्शन क्या था? उनका कहना था कि ये हर्ष खंडेलवाल जी की गलती है, उन्होंने ट्रैफिक के रूल वायलेट किए हैं. हालांकि वो कह रहे हैं कि उन्होंने कोई रूल वायलेट नहीं किया और पुलिस का केस भी हेमा मालिनी के ड्राइवर के खिलाफ है, उनके खिलाफ नहीं.
सिर्फ वो तो टर्न कर रहे थे, टर्न करते हुए गाड़ी को टक्कर मारी, घूम गए, मोड़ रहे थे, उस टाइम गाड़ी को टक्कर मारी है. वो खड़े हुए नहीं थे, वो आउटसाइड थे ही नहीं, वो साइड से निकल चुके थे, साइड में से तो टक्कर उन्होंने मारी है.
और सुनीता जी, सबसे बड़ी बात तो ये है कि जो फैमिली है, हर्ष जी, उनकी बीवी, उनका बेटा, अभी सब लोग हॉस्पिटल में हैं. अभी भी सब लोग हॉस्पिटल में हैं?
जी मैम, हाँ मैम, सब हॉस्पिटल में है और उनके साथ सीमा खंडेलवाल थी, वो भी हॉस्पिटल में है. चारों पेशेंट हॉस्पिटल में है सर.
तो अगर आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगी आज हेमा जी को, आप क्या बोलेंगी उनको? I think सुनीता जी मैं आपके पास थोड़ी देर में आती हूँ शायद maybe this is a difficult question to answer at this point and I know this is a difficult time for you as well. सुनीता जी आप थोड़ा इस पे सोचिए, अगर आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगी हेमा मालिनी को आज आप सोचिए कि आप क्या बोलना चाहेंगी. मैं आपसे दोबारा ये सवाल करूंगी. Let me take this question to Krishna Sagar Rao of the BJP. Mr. Rao, at the end of the day, let's just for a minute step back and not blame anybody for this accident, not point fingers at any one person. But should Hema Malini have tweeted this? After all, this gentleman has lost his daughter. She was 2 years old. Was this an insensitive and callous tweet?
Nidhi, let me, on behalf of BJP, extend my deep regrets and condolences for the young girl who lost her life and also the injured who are going through obviously a lot of pain, and in this hour we are with them. Having said that, all accidents are unintentional and unfortunate, untimely, and what happened to that girl unfortunately could have even happened to Hema Malini. And let's not forget that Hema Malini is not just an actress and a politician, she is also a woman and a mother. So while looking at the last 20 hours where she has tweeted 8 tweets, out of which we are discussing only one. I request, the people of India who are watching this show also to understand that all the seven tweets which she has tweeted was praying for the people who are in pain, extending her condolences to the child, and also, grieving of that this accident shouldn't have happened. And I think if even you or me would have been in the accident, we would have felt the same, that nobody expects or wants an accident to happen, and anything can happen in an accident.
But should she have blamed the father? Should she have blamed the father? I mean, empathy is one thing, but I wish the girl's father had followed the traffic rules, then the accident could have been averted and the little one's life safe. Do you really believe that tweet was in good taste, Mr. Rao?
Exactly before the tweet she said that my prayers are with her and I wish that child shouldn't have died. But having said that, we are all human, Nidhi. I think in any accident, I haven't still come across one individual who is a part of that incident to say that I erred. It's so human to say that somebody else erred. But neither Hema Malini ji nor the father who lost a precious child are legally in a position to judge what has happened, because there is a third party, which is an enforcement agency like police, which has to judge. And Hema Malini ji...
Well, in a way it has, because it arrested Hema Malini's driver. It arrested and charged him. Sabha wants to come in before I open this up.
I think Hema Malini, if I may interrupt now.
Yeah,
if I may interrupt, I think from the very beginning, Hema Malini is not just an actress and a lady in a Mercedes. She's a people's representative. From the time that the accident took place, there is a complete, utter lack of compassion. There is a dead child. There is a family which is in an Alto, she's in a Mercedes, she's taken to a VIP, to an expensive private hospital, a dead child. I mean, and she was not unconscious, she had an injury, and I feel very bad that she had an injury, but surely if somebody's big car and you are a people's representative, from the beginning there is a lack of compassion. Now this is compounded by a lack of intelligence. So it's really shocking. There is a dead child. I mean, how do we all feel when a child dies in this manner? I mean, how can you live with that? If I'm involved in a road accident where a child is dead. So to me, lack of compassion, lack of intelligence, unacceptable, this kind of...
Ruchir Joshi, do you agree? Let me open this up to you and Suhail tonight. Ruchir, do you agree? Does this reflect an utter lack of compassion, particularly by somebody who is a member of parliament, who's a public representative? You know, we're not talking about someone who's living in the Bombay bubble, as it were, of Bollywood.
Well, Nidhi, there's a very clear thing. She is a member of a parliamentary party which is led by a man who said, you know, a puppy can come under my driver's wheels. I feel bad, you know, when he was talking about human beings as puppies. This whole government and the whole setup is like a complete callousness towards the powerless. You're in a very powerful, very tough car. It's called a Mercedes Benz. The other people are in an Alto or something. It's like a matchbox. So no matter whose fault it is, suppose it was the other guy's fault, she should have at least stopped and said who needs to be taken to hospital. And normal people can have a fear that if you take someone who's injured to hospital, the police case laga dega aapke upar, etc. She's not a normal person. She's a powerful national figure. She could have said, these people have been in an accident, please treat them. You know, if she's traumatized and doesn't have that presence of mind at that moment, even afterwards she could show some contrition and some pity and some regard to the tragedy that's happened. But no, it's clearly a matter of protecting her own hide and her own reputation. And she will put whatever spin she can on it to say it wasn't my fault and it was the other guy's fault. It's completely callous, it's completely cynical, and it's completely in tune with what the rest of this party is doing. And why blame just the BJP? The rich in this country, the film stars in this country do that. Salman Khan, he's out on bail. Nothing is said about him. The drunken driving, the Reliance woman who was working for Reliance who rammed into that car in Bombay, she may be in jail right now, but it took a lot of effort to get her to, you know, in there. We don't know what happened with Mr. Ambani's fancy sports car who was driving at that time. It was all sorted out. So it's something that happens in some way or the other where you have too many cars in this country, the roads are bad, and the rich feel like they can drive at great speeds. And when something happens, they also know that they have the power to cover it up.
We have Babul Supriyo joining as well, the Minister of State for Urban Development, who's joining us tonight. In fact, he's just landed from Kolkata. And Mr. Supriyo, you've actually been tweeting a lot in the last few days where, you know, you were saying that it was wrong of the little girl to be sitting on her mother's lap in the front seat without a seat belt. Now, I don't know if this is correct, but I think you raise a valid point, certainly as far as overall road safety in this country is concerned. And that's something we should pay attention to. But let me first ask you about Hema Malini's tweet today. Do you think it was in bad taste? Do you think it could have been avoided?
Let me first put a few things into perspective, Nidhi. If you give me a minute, since I heard the other gentleman speak, we have to understand what is it the issue that we are addressing. My tweet was completely something different. I was talking about, I was trolled till 5:30 in the morning, people abused me. What they did not understand is what I was trying to, the point that I was trying to make is that my own daughter sat on her mother's lap while I drove the car like a, you know, a lovey-dovey daddy who's so happy to have the daughter on the left seat. And I have myself, while coming out from my Yamunanagar lane, had faced a situation where a speeding best bus at 10:30 in the night almost rammed into my then Maruti Esteem, and I was petrified. I stood there because I completely knew that anything could have happened. Now, I don't want to, I express my profound grief and extreme sadness at the loss of the child, and I do not want to get into any discussion in terms of Hema Malini's tweet. It's a different thing that I tweeted because I am recording an album with her, and I spoke about the unpredictability of life, that the very last evening I spoke to her, next day this thing happens. Now in India, we are talking about high-speed expressways, we are talking about good roads and all of that stuff. If we can, if you are asking for that, at the same time, I think that the people should be aware and we should make stringent rules to ensure that the same Indians who leave India go to America and make sure that that same toddler sits at the back seat on a car seat with a seat belt on.
That applies as much then to the speeding Mercedes, no?
That and that awareness.
It was Hema Malini's driver who was speeding. It was and he's been booked and charged for speeding. He was arrested for that. So that applies to the driver of her car as much as it does to anybody else.
He should definitely be arrested and put into justice.
But at the end of the day,
we have to understand, am I speaking as a man?
A little girl lost her life, Mr. Supriyo.
Or am I speaking as a BJP
No, I'm asking you as a colleague of Hema Malini, as a parliamentary colleague, do you believe that this is what she should have said? Do you believe this is what she should have said?
Definitely.
Should she have shown more sensitivity?
Well, I definitely do. Let me tell you, I definitely do think that it is very, it's a historical error. It's a brutal error on part of everyone who was there in the scene, accident scene, including Hemaji, to have left the child back there on the road. You know, that's a brutal mistake. Let's accept that. Number two, if the driver was speeding on the road, he should be put to justice. We should have more cameras in place, especially on the highways, on the expressways. You know, we all speed on the Mumbai-Pune expressway. We take pride of the fact that that's one road where you can actually drive our fancy cars at the speed that we aspire to drive in India. We cannot do that on other roads. Let me be bluntly honest. I have done that so many times with my daughter in the front seat. It's a different thing that I did not get arrested or my car was not booked for overspeeding. I got away with it. But the point is that something we can continue to practice? Is there a larger picture? I don't want to at all get into the blame game.
But I think it's important. I think it's an important admission on your part, and a frank one, that it was Hema Malini was wrong to leave the child there.
Nidhi, 1 minute.
Yeah.
To say, no. That is a big mistake. That is a huge mistake. And even if my own dad or myself, anyone would have done it, I would have been brutally critical of that. Let's understand one thing. Is this a place which we want to make safer? And can we talk about those laws? Can we not have children sitting on the mother's lap in the front seat? I myself did it and got away with it. Can we have
let me get Suhail into
this. At least on the expressway.
Suhail,
if you have a toll tax in there when you're entering expressway, one last point. If you have a toll tax which is there at the beginning of the expressway, can the toll tax guy ensure that the baby is not sitting in the front seat, and can that from that point onwards it becomes mandatory that the baby is there at the back seat?
There are some very good points that you make about road safety in India. I concede that. There are good points that you make about how I think how casual we are when it comes to road safety, not wearing seat belts and so on. And Suhail, is this really about that, or is this about what appears to have been a very insensitive and a response that lacked compassion from a member of parliament like Hema Malini?
I think Babul Supriyo, in his brutally long tirade or sermon. Now who's speaking? In the middle.
Suhail, go ahead.
First they interrupt in Parliament, then they interrupt on television
I can't
studios.
know who's speaking.
I find it ridiculous. My name is Suhail. I'm a common citizen of India.
I don't want to
belong
interrupt you. Can I just finish?
Party.
The question was asked to me.
No, it was asked to Suhail. Mr. Supriyo, just give us a second.
It wasn't asked to you.
I know Suhail said. Please don't get defensive.
Okay,
Suhail, let's not talk. I don't want to talk with you right now.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let me first answer the question.
No,
Nidhi asked me actually.
Mr. Supriyo, you've answered. I'm giving Suhail a chance to answer.
But she asked me the question.
Can I answer that? I asked Suhail the question. There's no misunderstanding here. Suhail.
Okay, I am at the airport. There's a lot of noise.
Sure. I understand. Suhail.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it is not about road safety, the discussion that we are having right now. It is about how people in power, no matter which political party they belong to, make silly statements which show a lack of empathy and fly right against the perception that people have already formed of them. Ruchir alluded to the fact that if you're powerful, you can get away. Sabha rightly mentioned the insensitivity of Hema Malini's comments. The reality, Nidhi, is this is a time to express remorse and condolence. This is not a time to browbeat and, get into a blame game. And I think the tweet was so sad. She needn't have tweeted this at all. The fact is an accident occurred. Yes, accidents aren't planned, but there was a reason to show empathy. While I will say this, that in an accident of this nature, the first thing that you want to do is take the person who you believe is important and rush him. It is imperative upon that person, as Sabha mentioned, being a people's representative, to ensure that if someone has been harmed, you take that person along. That didn't happen. I can even forget or forgive that bit. But look at the discussion post that. Look at the actions that have happened post that. How difficult would it have been for Hema Malini to actually have gone and visited those 4 people who are still in hospital, Mr. Khandelwal's family? How difficult would it have been for her to express remorse on Twitter rather than say that, oh, that person came the wrong way? Babul mentioned this. I think it's the enforcement agencies who will decide who was really at fault. But there is a matter of perception, and then there's the matter of reality. Perception takes quicker to form than reality, because reality will be at the back of an investigation. And I think it is unfortunate. Mulayam Singh made the comment, qua rape. All our political leaders make these let me finish, Babul. Let me finish. I cannot understand why I'm being interrupted, Nidhi. I'm just making a quick point. I don't believe it is about one political party or the other.
Because you said that we interrupt in the parliament, which is not right. I don't like that aggression in our debate.
No, 1 second.
I'm glad you don't like it.
So, Suhail, I understand what you're saying. You're saying it's not about any political party or the other. It is about a VIP syndrome in this country, where people who are, whether they're politicians or film stars or anybody, with a lot of money, they think they can circumvent the rules and get away with it. But I think there's an important point.
No, it's not even about that. Just one last point.
Yeah.
It is not even about that. I think what Sabha and Ruchi refer to, and even the BJP gentlemen refer to, is these are times when what is expected of you is remorse, not aggression. What is expected of you is empathy, not debate. And what is expected of you is a certain amount of softness in persona and behavior and speech, and not correcting the rights or the wrongs or identifying people to blame. That's all I'm saying.
So let me take that to Mr. Rao first. Mr. Rao, would you at least concede, okay, at least Babul Supriyo has said it was a mistake, Hema Malini shouldn't have left the child behind. Do you think she should have at least gone to visit the family? Her daughter promised financial help to the family. They've not seen any of that yet either. Should there at least have been a visit, a phone call, something? All we get is a tweet, and that too blaming the father today.
As I said earlier, Nidhi, that Hema Malini ji will certainly visit the family and extend all the support to the family. But having said that, I feel sad that Sabhaji being a woman, and Sushil ji partially agree with him that this is not the time for aggression. But having said that, the onus on Hema Malini ji is very limited in this particular issue, for the reason that she is not the driver, number one, and she doesn't have an intention to harm anybody. It's an accident. And the onus even to get a child to a hospital, which I disagree with Babulji, doesn't lie in Hemaji hands, and you have to put yourself, people who are talking about empathy should have empathy. If you are in an accident and if you are a woman 60 plus years old, won't you be in a trauma and a shock? Even if you are driving a Mercedes. So let's not trash people in big cars only. Either both the father of the child and Hema Malini and the rest of the people were in trauma. The onus of taking these people to the hospital lies with the officials who are there, or the medical staff or the paramedical staff. If they don't do the job or they didn't do the job, then certainly they should be booked.